भैरवकालिके नमोस्तुते। ओम नमो भैरवाय नमो नमः। ओम नमो भैरवाय। जय माध्य जय माध्य जय माध्य जय खेपा परंपरा। जय श्री गुरु बामा खेपा। जय श्री गुरु श्यामा खेपा। जय खेपा परंपरा। जय माध्य जय माध्य जय माध्य। So good morning, and we are back on yet another video, and today's subject is majorly about a specific character, a man of great importance in the life of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, and the teachings of this specific person and the specific interactions that Thakurji had with this specific person, and how today it is like a time capsule that he had placed so many decades, what is it, about 200 years back, roughly? I think so. Is it 200? Almost. So he was born almost 200 years back. And how he has specifically placed a time capsule of jnana, a time capsule of knowledge that we can use today. Is this thing on? That we can use today for our own upliftment. So even today, I believe that many people still very closely associated with Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans are missing a very critical point that he tried to make because of the lack of Bhairava Tattva. Okay, so I am today going to speak about Sri Girish Ghosh, popularly known as the father of Bengali theatre, stage drama and all that. I think he passed away in 1908 or so. A huge towering man, great personality, boisterous, loud, like to live without any restrictions, openly and well indulged in all pleasures within the society. So he was a man of theatre, right? So generally how you would see our Bollywood, Hollywood stars, they have this extravagant life, unrestricted and all that. So you could fit him there. Absolutely uncaring of the society's ideals of spirituality. He believed in living life as it came, as it were, uncaring of what the society deemed him to be. An exceptional example for us to learn a lot about spirituality today, and why he becomes extremely relevant for us today. We'll learn about him today in this video. Hopefully make some sense to most people. So Girish Ghosh, very talented, supremely talented. It is said that at a time he would have 3 or 4 secretaries writing down drama, script play, screenplay. He would recite, and they would be writing, unable to even keep up with them. He would be so fast that they will not be able to use the ink quills and all. They will have to use pencils, because by the time they dip and start writing, he would have gone. And there are 3 separate secretaries who are writing, because he's that fast. It is also said that he was so talented that he would be able to compile. He was able to compile 26 songs in a single night. And he hated it when somebody interrupted him when he went into this flow of reciting songs or reciting the screenplay. And if somebody interrupted him, can you repeat it? He'll get wild. He'll say, wherever you cannot hear me, just put dots. I will fill it up when I look at the notes. Do not interrupt me. So this is like, he was so in tune. He lived his art to such an extent. He worshipped his art to such an extent that if you mildly touch him at that point, you are disturbing his pranic flow, right? These names that Ma has been playing around with us in the Sahasranamavali, Nishkama, the one without any kama, Sakama, the one who's full of desires. Kama in the sense here, desire, So any kind of desire, be it to create, to pursue an art, to pursue a business, to pursue a job, to intensely pursue a career, and to be so heavily bound in its pursuit, does not disqualify you from spirituality. So this is the life lesson of Girish Ghosh that we seek to understand in depth. But definitely his life is merely being recited as a great marker of how exceptional Thakurji was, and how he would take even somebody from the theatre on And to simply understand him at that level is to lose most of its jnana. There is a deeper jnana within Girish Ghosh and his adventures and misadventures with Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans. There is a great time capsule placed in this man. And it is revealing now, because at that time there were extremely pious men and women trying to follow Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, trying to emulate him, trying to fall at his feet and take a little bit of the jnana that he had. And there were also misfits like Girish Ghosh. Somebody you would look at him and you will think he will never get into spirituality. He was all about living life. He would drink well. There is also certain writings that he was also addicted to opium, which he gave up eventually. I'm not sure about that. You'll have to do your own research on that. So, not your typical spiritualist. And why did Sri Ramakrishna Paramahams choose him to be a time capsule for us today? We'll learn it. It was a time capsule. Absolutely. I'm absolutely convinced beyond doubt that it was a time capsule for us to learn about today. A deeper message into spirituality. I will tell you a very beautiful marker that is placed. People, he would be so fiercely protective of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans towards his later days that people would call him Bhairava. Bhairava of Sri Ramakrishna, because he would protect him to that extent. However, if you note, people called him Bhairava. Well, they describe him as, listen carefully, he is Bhairava, one of the people, one of the ganas near Shiva. So they do not really understand what is Bhairava. At that point, people are merely, or even those who are preaching about him today, are preaching about him as merely one of the ganas or somebody around Shiva. So they do not understand that Bhairava, the term that is placed on this man, is extremely deep. It is extremely deep now. It was a time capsule. Bhairavanama's explosion, again from Bengal. The name is exploding, and a man roaming around, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahams, who was called one of his ganas, and Bhairava. So now we know what is Mahakala Bhairava. In the last video we addressed that he is at highest state of Shiva. He is the immovable object and the unstoppable force come together, and that forms the pedestal where Devi stands at the highest state of Shiva. Right? 100. Femininity becomes 100. So we know that today. But however, people have been addressing him as a Bhairava. So for us to learn today, what all did he do? So in those days, imagine today if a monk casually steps out in wearing a costly pair of sneakers. Let's say he wears a shoe that is worth 20,000 rupees. He drives a Land Rover, or he drives a costly bike. He wears a costly watch. People accuse him of, today, 2025, they accuse him of having a royal life and a life that is unbefitting of a renunciated monk, right? People start attacking him. But Sri Ramakrishna was very clever, and he knew, not just clever, of course you can call it the divine mind within him, right? It is Kali operating through him and giving us this message that even in 100, 150 years back, he had the sense to put a small marker which allows us to today understand that spirituality is not about the show. It is not about that appearance of being spiritual. It is not about the look. It is not about the he should appear pious. He should appear as if he has renunciated everything. He should appear as if he's a pauper. He should appear as if he's smeared in ash and sitting in a graveyard. Only then his spiritual Sri Ramakrishna gives us the teaching today. So beyond the funeral pyre, today she rises, and today we have a jnana. Jai Shri. Jai Khapa Parampara. Jai Mah, Jai Mah, Jai Mah. So today's subject is Girish Ghosh. Let us go deeper and understand why he is very special. So theatre, at that time, theatre was considered as a huge taboo. Even general grihastha crowd would not really go there. Forget monks. But Sri Ramakrishna, there is a famous saying where he says, "Ma, never make me a dry monk. Do not just put me into the state of a dry monk who would only recite the holy hymns and will not do anything else other than preach morality. Force people to align to a specific line. Tell them everything, every feeling within them." So Ma Kali is also Matihi, one of her names, the mind, the good mind, the beautiful thoughts, happy thoughts. She's also Ku Matihi. The mind, that is the dirty thoughts. The mind that is everything that is dirty. Here, I'm using the word dirty just to make you understand, because I'm sure many of you have aligned with some thoughts like greed, jealousy, anger, hatred as dirty, right? So I'm using the word to make you understand that. But when Ma's divine name, the divine mother's name is Ku Matihi, which simply means she's also the hatred, she's also the jealousy, she's also that anger, she's also that disgust you feel when you see certain things. She's also that, I just hate this guy. That feeling is also her. So it is not dirty, dirty is also her. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna, at that moment, he made it a point that he would visit his place, he would visit the theatre so that he could experience it. And when people would tell him, why are you going to these places? These places are not meant for monks. What will people think of you? He would still go. So that we can teach today. That is the Shakti of an avatar. An avatar and his messages will rise beyond the centuries, right? So he would go to these places and make sure that people see him there. He would take the best seats there, enjoy the place, so that you and me today are getting a very simple message that you do not have to keep away from the movie theaters. You don't have to keep away from music. You don't have to keep away from those exceptional Western music, Western attire. You don't have to keep away from anything that is considered showy or anything that is considered unbefitting of a spiritual life. That is the whole message of Girish Ghosh's life. So Girish Ghosh, one of the incidents that really caught my eye is he was playing, in a play he was acting as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So he was putting on that play, and very sincere, devout Vaishnavites had visited the play, and they were all looking at him and they were all like, wow, what an exceptional play. Who could have written such an exceptional play other than somebody who's truly a divine being? Wow, wow, wow. They were all so impressed with Girish Ghosh. Ideally, the devout Vaishnavites would never even come to these theatres, but since they heard that there is a play happening on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they had walked in and they were thoroughly impressed by his act. They wanted to go backstage and appreciate Mr. Girish Ghosh. However, he was so irritated by all these false flattery that he would place on the table. He would place all these drinks and rum bottles, cigarettes and all that, so that these people, when they walked in their mind, they have visualized the divinity within Girish Ghosh as the actor. However, when they walked in and saw those bottles of wine and all placed on the table, they were thoroughly flabbergasted. They were like, what is this? Ugh. It was all an act, and they ran out. However, Sri Ramakrishna, when he saw this play, he said there is no difference between the real one and the fake one. There is no difference between the imitation and that which is real. So he says that you, when you are there on the stage, you are him. You are him absolutely. So Sri Ramakrishna here gives us a message that he's able to look beyond that external appearances that say that he is just a theatre actor. He's just an actor. He's just somebody who's absolutely within the capitalistic norms of the society. No, Sri Ramakrishna here gives us a very simple message. The Vaishnavites have missed it. The Vaishnavites have absolutely missed the message that he who impressed you and created that mind, that absolute happiness within you when you saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the stage, he was also in the backstage sitting like that. They couldn't handle that. They were like, oh, this was all fake, and they ran out. However, Sri Ramakrishna gives a message that I see no difference between you, the actor, Girish Ghosh, and him, the saint. I saw that he is you, you are him. So he places that praise on him very beautifully, giving us that beautiful message that irrespective of what is dirty, what is considered clean, I saw the divinity within you. There is divinity absolutely within you. Not that you were divine during that stage. No, you were divine even beyond that. You were divine on the streets. You were also divine when you were walking around as a normal man. You were looking at something that the society would call bad. Girish Ghosh, he would pick up women who were in the worst states of their life. He would give women an opportunity to act on stage when they were just from the brothels. He would pick up the best actors from there and give them a chance to play in his place, giving them a chance at life. And women in theatre that day were considered as extremely lowly. Incidentally, we are today facing some controversial situation where women are being again questioned and pulled down as they dress up and get onto the stage. Anyway, let us focus on the spiritual part of this and understand what the deeper meaning is. One such actress was Noti Binodini. I believe she started, from what I read about her, she started playing from the age of, on theatre, she started at the age of 12, and she's from those, the unfortunate second lines, where women are put through all this misery of flesh trade and all that. But she rose and she became an incredible actress on theatre. However, of course, the society would reject such women, and they would, they will not consider them pious, and they would consider them unclean and all that. She retired at the age of just 23. When Sri Ramakrishna had once visited the theatre and found her play, he had blessed her and said that Chaitanya ho, be blessed, and may you be illumined, may you be enlightened. Absolutely. He did not for a second say that if you leave this play, you will be enlightened. If you stop your theatre act, then you will be illumined. No. At that moment, he said, may you be illumined. Irrespective of what you are, irrespective of whether you are an actress, irrespective of whether you are known to to represent that part of the society which is considered unclean because the others who sit in the society are clean and this girl is unclean. No, you will be illumined. You are blessed for it. And she was absolutely in joy. So, why did this lady have that life? Why was she born into that life? What is the message that she has given us? Now she becomes a messenger for us today. When we are hearing everywhere that people are pulling down women because of the way they dress, because of the professions. Women is able to get promotions faster than a man, then say, okay, she must have compromised. All this is being spoken about today. Today we should realize that beyond that, Sri Ramakrishna was able to walk into a theatre, look at a woman and say that you will be absolutely enlightened. And that woman was considered by the society as a third-class citizen. Because she was a theatre actress, the society did not even consider her as a full-fledged citizen. It was like, rejects. When we need pleasure, we'll go and see those theatres. Otherwise, they're dirty. Such a person, he says, you will be enlightened. So, this chapter of Sri Ramakrishna's life is the most relevant one today, as all of us are living in a state of absolute identity crisis, where we are thinking that I like to watch movies, I like to listen to the music, I like to watch all the movies, every latest movie I need to watch. I love indulging in cricket. This said, there are monks who are wearing the robes, who are very pious. So how can I be like them? Sri Ramakrishna placed this man and his entire life for us to learn today, because they become the most relevant, because they represented that part of the society which was considered impure and unpious. So when a great saint was imitated by this man, and he was able to impress the staunch Vaishnavites, but when the moment they saw his reality, they rejected him. But Sri Ramakrishna said, I saw no difference between you and him when you stepped onto the stage. That is a very deep message here. So, why throughout his life, Girish Ghosh would be in a state of severe pain of not realizing whether is he pious, am I pious, do I need to give everything up? Only then do I attain the state of a monk, which is ultimately a liberation from the samsara. He would always, he would have this in his mind. And when he visited Sri Ramakrishna, multiple times he was able to see him, but each time he met him, a little bit of his mind would change a little bit. Maybe, should I ask him, maybe, is he fake or is he genuine? Is it an act? Because he, by himself, would mug up all these dialogues, hundreds of great saints' dialogues he would mug up, and he would be delivering it, and he is impressing the devout Vaishnavas, devout Shaivais who would visit his place. He is able to impress, which means he knows that he is beyond those dialogues. So Sri Ramakrishna had to be so exceptional that somebody who has already mugged up all the dialogues of every saint, every play, Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything is in his mind. Now, if you simply recite and tell him a dialogue, he is not going to be impressed, because he says, I have already mugged up these dialogues and I have delivered this thousands of times. So don't give me these dialogues again. Tell me what is the true secret of the Brahman. Tell me, dude, what should I do for liberation? I have mugged up all the place, everything I know. Now tell me what is the true secret of liberation. Very beautifully, Sri Ramakrishna tells him, you do everything that you wish to do in a daily basis, sincerely, unminding of the God, but just twice, morning and in the night, can you just think of the God? Can you just visualize God? He says, no, I don't even think I have time for that. So most of the emails I receive, most of the people who text me, they say that I am not even able to place an asana in my house. I don't even have the ability to place a God's photo, Devi's photo. I cannot keep the photo on my table. I cannot keep the photo in my puja griha. There is no house only. I am a dependent. I am in absolute pain. I have no ability to worship Devi. How do I worship Devi? So this is the answer for you all. From beyond the funeral prayer, he is still speaking. Do everything that you do. Write your plays. Write your music. Go to your stage. Absolutely enjoy it. Twice can you think about him? He says, I cannot. I think even if you tell me that every day morning at 7 and every day night at 11, I should think of Devi, I will not be able to. Because my life is that chaotic. I do not have the confidence to say that I will remember to say that also. Very simply, Sri Ramakrishna says, then leave it. Then surrender everything to the Guru. So this is where it comes. If you are unable to even place Devi's photograph in your life, you don't even have you have not been granted the grace to even place her in a photograph yet, then merely surrender everything that you are doing to the Guru. Mentally just think of the Guru for a second and everything you surrender to him. Eventually, you will come to a state of piousness. You will find the gates opening to such an extent that you will place her. You will get into deeper states of spirituality, but only and only when you realize that everything that you're doing from morning till night, even if the society says what you're doing is absolutely not spirituality, even then you will have to surrender that act also to the Guru. Here he reveals that secret. He who is absolutely and deeply within samsara, the only way you can realize God is by saying that whatever I'm doing is also Devi. Ko matihi. Kama Jivini, yesterday's name I believe. So the life within desire, right? Kama Deva Kala. So every bit of desire that you're urged to get onto the stage, you're urged to have a reel go viral where you're dancing, that is also Devi. She's asking you to experience it. Thousands and thousands of monks are going to come back, take a rebirth and experience life. So who was Girish Ghosh? Was he actually a monk who sat in the greatest states of meditation, refused to do anything? And now, when people around him are calling him Bhairava of Sri Ramakrishna, was he merely there to remove the fear from others and today to give us a message that he was also a monk, but he never dressed like a monk, he never spoke like a monk, he never behaved like a monk, never restricted himself to a life that would be considered worthy of a monk. And as he aged, towards the end of his life, people would flock to him. People would take appointments simply to sit and speak to him. And he became an extremely famous disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. There is also this, when it was decided that 11 of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, including Swami Vivekananda and the other 10, when they were supposed to get the ochre robes, they had stitched the robes and all that, and all the beads and everything was supposed to be distributed. Sri Ramakrishna ensured that there was a 12th pair of robes. Why? He said, give it to Girish Ghosh, who spent his entire time in theatre with all these actresses who were considered as rejects from the society in that time, whose whole day would be spent in music, writing of songs. Never once he is able to think of Devi because songs are Devi. Sri Ramakrishna knows that, because the action, place, desire to create, desire to write a song, it is also Devi. Sri Ramakrishna knows it, but people are not understanding it. But he knows it, that he is a monk. He says, give the 12th robe to Girish. He gives him, among the thousands and thousands of devotees who are standing in front of Sri Ramakrishna, wishing to go higher and higher, just like I speak about my Guru, Sri Guru Shama Khepadara, people coming to him for 20 years, 30 years, they want Diksha, he has never given them. But Sri Ramakrishna says, Girish, usko de de. He has lived life, and actually he is a monk whose relevance would come in 2025. His life would become a message for people, because in 2025 it is not just Girish Ghosh who's on stage, it is not just Binodini on stage, it is everybody, it is all the Rahuls, it is all the Deepas, it is all the Ramyas, it is all the hundreds and thousands of Kishores and all of you who have the urge to create a reel and dance, who have the urge, when you hear that Bollywood music, you want to dance, but you also want to be spiritual. So Sri Ramakrishna tells him, do everything that you wish to do, all your actions, all your dramas. Arey, you are still a monk, I'll still give you the rope. Who are the other 11? The other 11 sat the whole day in deeper states of jnana, reading all the Vedas. But they also got the same rope. Now think, why was this man, by people who had not yet understood the depth of Bhairava, why was he called the Bhairava of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans? Because he was going to be the Bhairava. He was going to be relevant in 100 years. Absolutely relevant. The capsules, the time capsules were placed for us to learn today that Sri Ramakrishna at that point considered the man known for theatre work, known to be finding women out of, rescuing women out of these brothels and giving them a dignified, at that time itself, this Bhairava, a man called Bhairava of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, had gone to these places and given dignified life of a theatre to these women, but the society still considered them undignified. But today, when all of us have this desire to go become famous, put reels, go viral, dance, get on stage, let everybody look at us dancing on the stage, and wow, that moment of appreciation, we all have that urge, because she's Kama Jivini. Kama Deva Kala, any desire of fame, the urge for 10,000 people to look at you on stage and say, wow, what a dancer she is, what an exceptionally handsome man he is. Is this not teaching? Is this not teaching this generation that it is absolutely still spiritual? You're still spiritual. You do not have to dress up. You do not have to wear those robes. You're still spiritual. Sri Ramakrishna knew this, that Girish, very lovingly called Bhairava, simply because of his association and protectiveness towards Sri Ramakrishna, was actually going to become a Bhairava and become a lesson centuries later. When that man, who was born in 18, I'm not very good with mugging up of facts. I don't read books and mug up the dates and all that. So I think maybe 1836 or something. I don't know. You can mention it in the comments. That man knew that Girish Ghosh would become an important lesson to the future generations. When they are put into the identity crisis that, oh, you are enjoying all these reels on phone, you are watching all these dancers, you are watching all these latest movies, you are not spiritual. Girish Ghosh. Khatam. Simple. Somebody born in 1830s was able to visualize this, and I don't think that any of us have the right to speak about spirituality beyond that man, who Devi had to come and stop. Arey, don't cut your throat. I am here. Devi had to hold the sword and tell her, don't cut your throat. Kitna rota hai? You know, Sri Ramakrishna, when he forces Devi to give him darshan, because he knows how to bring her. You know, it is only the crying baby who will be fed by the mother who's absolutely doting, absolutely loving the child, you know, extreme love. The mother who's absolutely deeply in love with the newborn baby, but in her exhaustion, even the mother will just fall off to sleep in the middle of the night, but the baby has to be fed every 2-3 hours. How does she remember? Not everybody is able to keep a reminder on the phone. So the baby cries. So it's only the crying baby who will be fed by the mother. Similarly, when Sri Ramakrishna says, I will take off my life, I'm going to cut off my throat because you are a bad mom. She comes, Arey, cry. Anyway, we have diverged a little bit. Spirituality is boxless. Today, spirituality is people who are supposed to hold spirituality and deliver it are still today have started behaving like offices. They say that this is the application, fill it up. You have to take all these, only then you are spiritual. You have to come and sit down over here. You have to do these programs. Otherwise, you are not spiritual. What does Sri Ramakrishna say? You do that which the society is absolutely saying opposite of spirituality. What is opposite of spirituality? The procedural collapse is happening here. Opposite of spirituality in the early 1900s would be somebody who's in the theater. That is the exact opposite. That is the exact opposite. Tere andar bhi spirituality hai. Sri Ramakrishna says. Important message. Somebody in 2025 has to speak about this. Let us place this marker. Girish Ghosh ka ho gaya. Rescuing women from the brothels, from all these underprivileged, painful situations that they are stuck into, born into, he would give them a chance. I want you all, the Sri Ramakrishna mission and its monks, they generally speak on all this. You can go through them, but they speak it like the adventures or misadventures of what is happening in the events of Sri Ramakrishna and what happens in his life, like that. But there are deeper meanings in that, even more deeper than what they are able to conceive, because Kali. You need to touch Kali, and her Sahasranahamavali will tell you everything he did had a deeper meaning. That will make sense eventually. It is not that he was so kind-hearted. People generally misrepresent it as he's so kind-hearted he even gave chance to Girishji. No, he was placing a marker, a time capsule which we will learn today. Today we are able to understand why Girish Ghosh was important. Why Girish Ghosh, the 12th robe was given to Girish Ghosh, who nobody thought would be eligible for the robes. Because he is a man of the theatre. Arey, theatre mein to koi nahi jata. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's act, people are so impressed. But when they saw the real Girish Ghosh sitting in the backstage with the bottles and all that, they were like, this is not that. We reject him. But they were so impressed when he was on the stage. But they reject him. Sri Ramakrishna says, I found no difference. Wow, you are equally divine. And to be called Bhairava, all it is clear marker that it is for us to learn today and understand the deeper meanings of this man, who was told, even if you cannot utter the name of the Divine Mother once a day, twice a day also you're not able to remember, it's okay. Then what you do is surrender your entire day to me. Surrender your entire day to me. Everything that you do, you will have to think of me and say, okay, I surrender this to the Guru. Okay, I surrender this to the Guru. Okay, now I'm going to write this play. Okay, now I'm going to have this duet on the stage. I surrender that to the Guru. Started bringing an immense change within Girish Ghosh, and he who thought that whatever he did from morning till the evening was not spiritual, he realized that everything is now spiritual and everything is going to the Guru. Extreme acceleration within him takes place, and now he has to get into deeper states of thought. He has to think 10 times before he does anything, because now everything is going to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, and that is his Guru. So in a very simple manner, if you are not even able to sit down for 10 minutes in a day, if you do not even have the ability to keep Devi in a small photograph, surrender your entire day to the Guru. You will find that the whole day you are spiritual, the whole day you are on your asana, even if you are traveling in a bus, even if you are traveling to some other country, when you surrender everything to the Guru and walk, ultimately the Guru becomes a marker, and you will find yourself very close to the Divine Mother, because the Mother knows the Guru very well. So whenever you say, I'm submitting this to the Guru is submitting it to the Mother. Guru has the asana, Guru has the photograph, Guru has the idols, everything Guru has, he sits there the whole day. You surrender it to the Guru. Everything that you feel that this is unpious that I'm doing every day, surrender it to the Guru. This beautiful message he gives to Girish Ghosh, and today to us, that none of us shall reject anything that we do. So she is Nishkama, the one with no desire, and also Sakama, one who's all desires. So every second you want any pleasure in life. You're driving a car, you're enjoying that. Is the spiritual? It is. You're absolutely enjoying some movies and some reels. Does that mean you are dirty? No. A man 150 years back gave us this message. So what are we to? Who are we to dictate? Today everybody is on these reels, everybody is on these phones, everybody is swiping. Imagine at that time when nobody was swiping, nobody was on the reels, they were all sincere, pious. You have to be very pious. This man on the stage was called, I see no difference between you and the real one and you, he says. These actresses, many a times, they are all in very previous births would have had a very pious life. But the urges would have been there. So I will put up a video on how do you understand what is going to create your rebirth. And what are the markers of your rebirth? What sort of thoughts are actually a womb that you already can identify towards your future birth? How does one identify their future birth? Once you touch upon the Divine Mother, there is no jnana that does not open up to you. Everything opens up to you. The Karan Sharira, in one of the videos I've spoken about, in that also I put Sri Ramakrishna's photograph as in the thumbnail. That was a marker. In the 5th stage of Samadhi, when you are able to touch upon the Karan Sharira has everybody there. You don't have to specifically buy a book and read about Sri Ramakrishna. You don't have to buy a book of Vivekananda. You don't have to buy a book on Sri Guru Bama Khepa. You don't have to buy a book on Sri Shama Khepa. You don't have to buy a book on any saint. They're all there. Sri Rama is there. Sri Krishna is there. All avatars are there. So once you rise to the state of the 5th state of Samadhi, they are always talking to you. Speak about this. Today they need it. Our society is going into this path. Today they need to speak about this. So that is why the acceleration through the states of Samadhi. Anyway, if once you touch the 4th stage of Samadhi, you are unable to go back anymore. You are stuck there because it's a witness stage, earth element, right? In the Panchabhuta, first stage, 5 stages are earth. The 4th stage is Panchabhuta. First 5 stages are Panchabhuta, mastery of the Panchabhuta. Once you touch the earth, you cannot go back anymore. You're stuck there. You're witness. It could take many lifetimes in the stage. You still sit there, witness, and then you'll come here. Karana Sharira. All the avatars are talking to you. Avatars are nothing but manifestations of the Divine Mother in a form that is perceived by those who are still in the form. Like you and me. You and me are in a form. The Divine Mother, that the cosmic darkness cannot speak to you. You will not be able to bear it. If an astronaut is stepping out of his spaceship without the suit, he'll just get crunched like a piece of paper. He will not be able to handle the pressures over there. There is no oxygen. So the form cannot go to that state. Form is restricted to the Mritya Loka. However, the Karana Sharira, the mother has kept all these avatars there. They will speak to you. And you can hear. But you need to cross the 4th stage for that. So an extremely important part of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, the Bhairava of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans. Bhairava's definition was not known at that time because everybody was still learning the traditional paths, the right-handed paths to Devi. Everybody knew that very well. That we already know. How be pious. Human beings are the best in pretending. Human beings pretend that they are desireless. They love to pretend that they are clean. They love to pretend that they are absolutely divine. However, when you touch on the left side, they say, no, I am telling you I don't have desires, right? So I don't have. I'm telling you I don't need to eat this food. I'm telling you I don't need to go behind that man or woman. However, you are telling yourself, but you will have a life where you are face to face with that man or woman, you're face to face with that food, you're face to face with that drink, and then you indulge and renunciate. So the fastest path is indulge, renunciate in a single birth. Attain the left-handed path also. Don't pretend to be within the right-handed path and then come back for a life where you don't even remember the right hand and go through the left hand. That was like Girish Ghosh. Girish Ghosh as a monk, definitely he was a monk in a previous birth, and then he has come back so that he can now teach us all that even while absolutely embodying everything that is dirty as per the society standard, unpious, unspiritual, he still was offered the robes by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans. When he offers it, can you debate it? Towards the end of his life, he became so powerful that people would flock to him. Man of theatre. People would flock to him to simply hear about his teachings. People would simply flock to him to simply hear about his views on life. A man of theatre. Never make me a dry monk. Why? Because the dry monk who refuses to acknowledge his own left side, the Devi side, will come back in a life fully to learn this left side. I will put up a separate video on this so that it becomes easier for all of us to understand. Do take a few moments and watch some videos on Girish Ghosh. There are some good speeches by the monks of Ramakrishna Mission on him. However, they do not touch upon the actual Bhairava Tattva that is there. The Bhairava message within Girish Ghosh is not untouched. Because it has, you have to fully walk in the path of Ma Kali, Ma Kali, Ma Kali, everywhere. Only then the Bhairava will come and give you that guts to say that beyond the designs of Brahma, there is Jnana. If you don't go to Ma Kali, there is Bhairava itself doesn't open up. It is when Ma Kali comes and stands, Bhairava comes racing and he puts himself at a higher state because Devi has come at 100. There is no Devi and Shiva, they are one and the same. So if Devi is there, Shiva also has to be there. Highest states, Mahakala Bhairava sits there. So to truly understand Bhairava, you need to understand Kali. Kali as the form has to be understood, revered and ran behind like the madman that you are. Only then you understand Bhairava also. Until then Bhairava also will stay limited, he will protect you. But to truly say, show me Mahakala Bhairava, you should become mad behind Devi. Of course, it is also one of the natures of Devi that if you want to attain oneness with Devi, you will only talk about Devi, only Ma Kali. And from the eyes of the Kali Sadhaka, you look at Sri Rama. From the eyes of the Ma Kali Sadhaka, you look at Ma Sita, Sri Krishna, Panchali, Arjuna. Then everything begins to open up because it is the Brahmanda Jnana. And who is the highest state of Shiva? Adhya Kali. My previous video. Highest state of Shiva is Adhya Kali because Adi Shakti becomes 100 and Shiva becomes Shunya. So there is a higher form that is rising from that Shunyata, that is Adhya Kali. So today's video is done. I will put another video and address, there is a lot of things the mother has put into my head now, so much that it is all jumbled up in states that I'm just unclogging things here and that she's just dumped it on my head. And there is so much to talk about. There is career and Kali sadhana. What happens to a career in the path of Kali? What is astrology in the path of Kali? What is rebirth? How do you quantify and how are you able to break down your daily life and understand what are the parts that is going to push you into another birth and how to break that down? There is so much to speak about. I will also be putting up a video on women and why are women suffering and what is the reason why the seed and the yoni. So I spoke about the seed. Now the yoni is, we need to speak about what is the Divine Mother's yoni and how it is collective. I'll when she gives me the Adesh, I'll speak about it. Bhairava Kalike Namostute. Om Namo Bhairavaya Namo 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 Bhairava. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Jai Khepa Parampara. Jai Shri Sri Jai Shri Rama. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.